What if the greatest structures ever built weren't constructed by the civilizations we credit them to? The official story teaches that ancient peoples used primitive tools and brute force, copper chisels and stone hammers, rope and wooden rollers, simple technology for simple times. But the evidence tells a different story. Megastructures around the world display engineering precision that defies the capabilities of their supposed builders. Cuts so perfect they seem machined. Stones so massive modern cranes couldn't lift them. Astronomical alignments requiring mathematical knowledge centuries ahead of their time. When engineers examine these sites with modern instruments, the measurements don't add up. The tolerances are too tight. The techniques too advanced. The logistics impossible. And here's what makes this disturbing. Evidence of advanced construction methods keeps disappearing. Research that challenges conventional timelines gets buried. Scientists who publish controversial findings lose funding. Archaeological sites with problematic artifacts become restricted. Someone doesn't want these questions asked. Today, we're examining 10 megastructures that appear to have been built with technology their civilizations shouldn't have possessed. Technology that was somehow lost, or taken away, or deliberately hidden from history. Fair warning, this evidence contradicts everything taught in standard textbooks, but the measurements don't lie. The precision speaks for itself. The engineering reveals capabilities that shouldn't have existed. 10 cases, 10 impossible structures, 10 instances where the official explanation crumbles under technical scrutiny. The question isn't whether these structures are real. They stand in front of us. The question is how they were actually built, and why the truth about their construction has been systematically suppressed. Number 1. The precision of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza isn't just big, it's impossibly precise. According to mainstream archaeology, it was built around 2500 BC. Egyptian workers using copper tools. Bronze hadn't been invented yet. Steel was thousands of years away. Yet somehow, they created the most accurately aligned structure on Earth. Here are the measurements. The pyramid's base is leveled to within 2.1 centimeters across 230 meters. That's an accuracy of 0.001%. Modern construction with laser levels rarely achieves that tolerance. The 4 sides align to true north within 3/60ths of a single degree, the best alignment of any structure on Earth. Modern satellite GPS wasn't available, yet somehow they achieved perfection. Each side measures 230.364 meters. The difference between the longest and shortest side? Less than 5 centimeters. Across football field lengths of solid stone, the casing stones that once covered the pyramid were cut to tolerances of 0.5 millimeter. That's the thickness of 5 sheets of paper. The joints between blocks are so tight you can't fit a razor blade between them. No mortar was used. 2.3 million blocks, each weighing between 2 and 70 tons, quarried, transported, and placed with perfect precision. Engineers from the Construction Industry Institute examined the site in 1999. Their conclusion was documented, but not widely published. The precision exceeds modern construction standards. The techniques used remain unknown. But here's where it gets stranger. The copper tools supposedly used can't cut granite. Experiments prove it. Copper is too soft. It deforms against granite's crystalline structure. Yet the pyramid's interior chambers are lined with granite blocks weighing up to 80 tons, cut with perfect 90-degree corners, polished to mirror smoothness. Geologist Robert Schoch examined tool marks in 1993. The patterns suggest high-speed rotary cutting. But the wheel wasn't invented in Egypt until 1,000 years after the pyramid's construction. Christopher Dunn, a precision engineer, analyzed the site for 15 years. His findings were published in 1998. The precision manufacturing techniques match modern machining. The tolerances require measurement instruments the Egyptians supposedly didn't have. The official explanation? Patience and manpower. But patience doesn't create precision. Time doesn't generate accuracy. Someone had technology capable of measurements and cuts we can barely replicate today. And that technology vanished from history. No archaeological progression toward it. No evolution of tools leading to such precision. It appears fully formed, then disappears completely. The pyramid stands as proof. 2.3 million pieces of evidence, each one cut and placed with impossible accuracy. Number 2. The megalithic blocks of Baalbek. In Lebanon, there's a Roman temple complex called Baalbek. The Romans built impressive structures, but they didn't build the foundation. Something else did. Beneath the Roman temple sits a platform of stones so massive they dwarf everything around them. These are called the trilithon, 3 blocks of limestone. Each one measures 19 meters long, 4 meters high, and 3.6 meters deep. Each block weighs approximately 800 tons. That's the weight of 3 fully loaded 747 aircraft, or 2 Statues of Liberty, per stone. Modern cranes max out around 2,000 tons, but they need stable ground, careful positioning, and engineered lifting points. These stones are solid limestone, no lifting points, no modern foundation, yet they're stacked 20 feet above ground level, perfectly fitted together. The joints between blocks are less than 1 millimeter, 800-ton stones positioned with sub-millimeter accuracy. Then there's the stone of the pregnant woman, still in the nearby quarry. It weighs over 1,000 tons. It was cut, shaped, and partially moved before being abandoned. How do you move 1,000 tons without modern equipment? The Romans documented their engineering extensively. They were proud of their construction techniques, but nowhere in Roman records is there mention of how the trilithon was placed, because they didn't place it. They built on top of something already there. Archaeological analysis dates the trilithon to at least 2,000 years before the Roman temple, possibly much older. The Romans arrived and found a foundation already laid, stones they couldn't move themselves, so they built their temple on top. Engineer Brian Forster examined the quarry site in 2014. The cutting patterns don't match any known ancient technique. The precision suggests diamond-tipped saws or high-pressure water cutting. Neither existed in the ancient world. The official explanation? Thousands of workers with ropes and wooden rollers. But the physics don't work. 800 tons distributed across wooden rollers would crush them instantly. The friction alone would require forces beyond human capability. Even with 10,000 workers, the logistics are impossible. Someone had the technology to quarry, move, and precisely place stones weighing hundreds of tons. Technology that left no trace in the archaeological record. No tools found. No documentation. No progression of capability. The trilithon sits there. 3 pieces of impossible evidence, each one weighing enough to crush the official story. Number 3. The granite boxes of the Serapeum. Beneath the sands of Saqqara in Egypt lies the Serapeum, an underground complex of tunnels carved into solid bedrock. Inside these tunnels sit 24 boxes, each one carved from a single piece of granite. These aren't decorative, they're precision instruments. Each box weighs approximately 70 tons. The interior is perfectly hollowed out. The corners are exactly 90 degrees. The surfaces are polished flat to within 0.02 of an inch. That's modern machining tolerance. Christopher Dunn measured these boxes in 1995. He's a master craftsman with 40 years of precision engineering experience. His measurements revealed something disturbing. The boxes are more accurate than his instruments. The internal surfaces are flat to within 0.0002 inches across the entire span. The corners are square to within 0.0005 degrees. This isn't close to perfect. This is perfect. Modern granite fabrication uses diamond-tipped tools, spinning at thousands of RPM, computer-controlled cutting paths, laser measurement systems. Even then, achieving these tolerances requires multiple passes and constant verification. The ancient Egyptians supposedly used copper tools and sand as an abrasive. Copper is softer than granite. It can't cut it. Sand can slowly abrade granite, but it creates irregular surfaces. It can't produce mirror-flat finishes. It can't create perfect 90-degree internal corners. Yet here are 24 boxes, each one demonstrating precision that modern stoneworkers struggle to match. The boxes are so accurate they could be used as calibration standards in modern machine shops. Egyptologists claim they were sarcophagi for sacred bulls, but there are problems with that explanation. No mummies were ever found inside. No hieroglyphics mark their purpose. No inscriptions identify who made them or why. They're completely anonymous. And they're positioned in underground chambers carved from solid rock. Chambers barely wider than the boxes themselves, which means the boxes were placed before the chambers were fully excavated. They were part of the original construction plan. How do you move 70-ton precision instruments through narrow tunnels carved into bedrock? How do you place them without damaging their perfect surfaces? How do you even create such perfection with primitive tools? The official explanation avoids these questions, because the answers challenge everything we think we know about ancient capabilities. 24 perfect boxes, each one weighing 70 tons, each one machined to tolerances we can barely achieve today. Each one sitting in an underground chamber that shouldn't have been possible to construct. The precision speaks for itself. Number 4. The impossible angles of Ollantaytambo. High in the Peruvian Andes sits Ollantaytambo, a fortress city of massive stone blocks, fitted together with impossible precision. The Spanish conquistadors arrived in 1536. They found walls they couldn't destroy, stones they couldn't move, construction they couldn't explain. 500 years later, engineers still can't explain it. The Temple of the Sun sits on the highest terrace. Its wall is composed of 6 massive pink granite blocks. Each one weighs approximately 50 tons. They're fitted together so precisely that joints between them are nearly invisible. But that's not the mystery. The mystery is where the granite came from. The quarry site is 6 miles away. Across the valley, on the other side of the Urubamba River, at a different elevation, the blocks had to be quarried, transported down one mountain, across a river, and up another mountain, then lifted to the highest terrace, then fitted with sub-millimeter precision, 50 tons, 6 miles. Across a river, up a mountain. Modern engineers proposed solutions in 2002. They suggested wooden rollers, rope systems, and thousands of workers. Then they built scale models. The models failed. The ropes broke. The rollers crushed. The physics didn't work. But there's more. The blocks aren't just placed. They're shaped with precision cuts and rounded edges. Some stones have protrusions that fit into precise recesses in adjacent blocks. These are called knobs and sockets. They interlock the stones in 3 dimensions. This isn't simple stacking. This is advanced engineering. The andesite blocks in the lower sections display even stranger characteristics. The stones have multiple angles. Some faces are carved with complex geometric shapes. The angles between surfaces are precise to within a fraction of a degree. Stonemason Brian Forster examined the site extensively. His analysis revealed tool marks that don't match any known ancient technique. The surfaces appear melted rather than chiseled, as if the stone was temporarily softened. The Inca claimed they didn't build Ollantaytambo. According to their own legends, it was already ancient when they arrived, built by the gods using knowledge now lost. The Spanish documented their attempts to destroy these walls. Cannons bounced off. Siege equipment failed. The stones absorbed impacts that should have shattered them. The conquistadors gave up and built around the existing structures. Modern analysis shows why. The stones are compressed together with such force that they act as a single mass. The precision fitting distributes stress evenly. The walls are more stable than modern concrete. Someone understood load distribution, stress analysis, and precision engineering at levels that suggest computer modeling, but this was supposedly built with stone hammers and bronze chisels. The blocks remain. The quarry sits 6 miles away. The river runs between them. The mountain stands in the way. The official explanation? Dedication and hard work. But dedication doesn't move 50-ton blocks across rivers. Hard work doesn't create precision fits, requiring modern measurement tools. Someone had technology we're told didn't exist. Technology that left no trace except the impossible structures it created. Number 5. The underwater precision of Yonaguni. Off the coast of Japan, beneath 70 feet of water, lies a structure that shouldn't exist. The Yonaguni Monument. Discovered in 1986 by dive tour operator Kihachiro Aratake. At first glance, it looks like a natural rock formation, but closer examination reveals something disturbing. Right angles, parallel lines, symmetrical terraces, carved channels, tooled surfaces. The structure spans approximately 250 meters. It rises 25 meters from the sea floor. It's composed of sandstone and mudstone, arranged in massive blocks. The main feature is a series of terraces connected by steps. The steps are uniform in height. The platforms are level. The corners are precisely cut. The angles are exactly 90 degrees. Marine geologist Masaaki Kimura has studied the site for over 20 years. His measurements reveal engineering that matches ancient construction techniques, but with a problem. A big problem. The last time this site was above water was over 10,000 years ago. That's when sea levels were low enough to expose this coastline. Since then, rising oceans have covered it. 10,000 years ago, mainstream archaeology insists humans were hunter-gatherers. No cities, no monumental architecture, no engineering knowledge, yet here's a structure suggesting advanced construction capabilities. The official explanation? It's natural. Erosion and tectonic activity created the appearance of artificial construction. The right angles are coincidence. The parallel lines are geological phenomena. The terraces are sedimentary layers. But there are problems with the natural formation theory. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, examined the site in 1997. He found evidence of both natural and artificial features. Some aspects appear tooled. Others show signs of deliberate quarrying. The structure includes features that don't occur naturally. A stone column standing upright, carved faces and symbols, channels that follow specific paths, a formation resembling a turtle carved from single stone. If it's natural, these features are impossible coincidences. If it's artificial, it predates accepted history of civilization by 5,000 years. Kimura documented over 100 anomalous features, tool marks on rock faces, symmetrical holes suggesting anchor points, pathways with consistent widths, blocks that appear stacked rather than layered. The site includes what appears to be a carved face, 8 meters wide, eyes, nose, and mouth clearly defined. Natural erosion doesn't create faces. Wind and water don't carve symmetrical features. Then there's the question of sea level. If this was built when the land was exposed, that places construction before the last ice age, before Göbekli Tepe, before Jericho, before anything mainstream archaeology recognizes as civilization. The implications are staggering. Either humans had construction capabilities 10,000 years earlier than believed, or something else was building monuments when humans were supposedly living in caves. The structure sits there, 70 feet underwater, covered by oceans that rose when glaciers melted, predating accepted history by millennia, demonstrating precision that challenges everything we think we know about ancient capabilities. The evidence is submerged, but it can't be buried forever. Number 6. The acoustic engineering of Göbekli Tepe. In southeastern Turkey, there's a site that rewrote history. Göbekli Tepe, discovered in 1994 by German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt. Carbon dating placed its construction at 9600 BC. That's 11,600 years ago. Before agriculture, before pottery, before metal tools, before civilization supposedly existed. Yet someone built 20 massive stone circles. Each circle contains T-shaped pillars weighing up to 20 tons. The pillars are carved with intricate reliefs, animals, symbols, geometric patterns. The craftsmanship is sophisticated. But that's not the strangest part. The strangest part is the acoustic engineering. Archaeoacoustic researchers studied the site in 2017. They discovered something unexpected. The stone circles were designed for sound amplification. The T-shaped pillars create acoustic resonance at specific frequencies. When sounds are produced in the center, they amplify and reflect in particular patterns. The stone arrangement creates standing waves. The effect is similar to a cathedral or concert hall. But cathedrals were designed with thousands of years of architectural knowledge. Göbekli Tepe predates architecture by 6,000 years. The pillars aren't randomly placed. Their positions create optimal acoustic properties. Sound travels between pillars in controlled patterns. Frequencies in the range of 95 to 110 Hz are significantly amplified. That's the frequency range of male voices. Specifically, chanting or rhythmic speech. Someone understood acoustic principles before written language existed, before mathematics, before architectural theory. They understood how stone shapes interact with sound waves, how placement affects resonance, how to create intentional amplification. This requires sophisticated knowledge. Computer modeling helps modern architects design concert halls. Trial and error can't produce these results. You need understanding of physics, geometry, and acoustics. The official explanation? It was a temple, a gathering place for ritual. But that doesn't explain the acoustic engineering. It doesn't explain how hunter-gatherers possessed knowledge that wouldn't be formalized for thousands of years. Then there's the construction itself. The pillars were quarried from bedrock using techniques that left clean, precise cuts. Modern archaeologists attempted to replicate the process with stone tools. They failed. The limestone is too hard. Stone tools break or wear down too quickly. Yet dozens of pillars were quarried, shaped, transported, and erected, each one weighing tons, each one carved with detailed reliefs, each one positioned for acoustic effect. And when the builders finished, they buried it, deliberately. The entire complex was covered with earth, preserved for 11,000 years, then abandoned. Why build something so sophisticated, then bury it? Why demonstrate advanced knowledge, then walk away? The site suggests capabilities that shouldn't have existed, knowledge that appears fully formed, technology that leaves no developmental trail. It shows up perfect, then vanishes from history. Göbekli Tepe stands as proof. 20 stone circles, each one acoustically engineered, each one impossible according to accepted timelines, each one demanding answers that official archaeology can't provide. Number 7. The geopolymer mystery of the pyramids. French scientist Joseph Davidovits proposed something controversial in 1978. The pyramid blocks weren't carved, they were cast, poured like concrete, using ancient geopolymer technology. The archaeological community rejected this immediately. Pyramids were built with quarried limestone. Everyone knew that. Case closed. Except, the evidence doesn't close the case. It opens new questions. Davidovits analyzed pyramid casing stones under microscope. He found something strange. The stones contained materials not found in natural limestone, synthetic compounds, organic fibers, air bubbles. Elements suggesting the stone was manufactured rather than quarried. He proposed the ancient Egyptians had discovered geopolymer chemistry, a way to break down limestone into slurry, add binding agents, and reconstitute it into stone blocks, like ancient concrete, but more sophisticated. This would solve multiple mysteries. It explains the precision. Poured blocks fit perfectly because they're molded in place. No need to cut and transport massive stones. No need for impossible lifting. You carry light materials, mix them on site, and pour the blocks where needed. It explains the speed. Traditional methods estimate it would take 20 years to build the Great Pyramid, working constantly. But if blocks were cast in place, construction time drops dramatically. Multiple teams could work simultaneously on different levels. It explains the weight distribution. The pyramid's internal structure shows understanding of load-bearing principles that seem impossibly advanced. But if blocks were poured layer by layer, you could design stress distribution as you build. In 1982, Davidovits founded the Geopolymer Institute. He spent decades researching ancient chemistry. He found evidence of geopolymer technology in multiple ancient cultures. Egyptian, Roman, even some South American sites show signs of cast stone rather than carved. He analyzed samples from the Great Pyramid. Independent laboratories confirmed the presence of synthetic binding agents, materials that don't occur in natural limestone quarries, compounds suggesting chemical processing. But here's the problem. Geopolymer chemistry is complex. It requires understanding of molecular bonding, alkaline activation, and chemical reactions. Modern geopolymer concrete was only developed in the 1970s after decades of research. How did ancient Egyptians discover this without modern chemistry? The official explanation dismisses geopolymer theory entirely. The blocks were quarried. Any unusual compounds are contamination from modern pollution or preservation treatments. But microscopic analysis shows these compounds are embedded throughout the stone structure, not surface contamination, not modern additions, original to the construction. Other researchers joined the investigation. Michel Barsoum from Drexel University analyzed samples in 2006. His findings supported Davidovits. The microstructure showed rapid chemical setting, evidence of synthetic processing, mineral ratios that don't match natural limestone. The implications are profound. If the Egyptians had geopolymer technology, what else did they know about chemistry? What other capabilities have been lost? What other technologies vanished from history? The pyramids stand as evidence. 2.3 million blocks, some potentially cast using chemistry we supposedly didn't discover until the 20th century. Technology that appears in ancient Egypt produces the most precisely constructed buildings in history, then completely vanishes. No progression, no evolution, no trace, except the impossible structures it created. Someone knew something we're told they couldn't have known, and that knowledge disappeared as mysteriously as it arrived. Number 8. The precision drilling of ancient Egypt. Walk through the Cairo Museum, and you'll find something disturbing in the basement, stored away from public view, rarely photographed, almost never discussed. Core samples from ancient Egyptian drilling operations. These aren't simple holes. These are precision bores through the hardest stone on earth: granite, diorite, quartz, materials with crystalline structures that resist cutting, materials that destroy modern drill bits if used incorrectly. Yet the ancient Egyptians drilled through them with perfect cylindrical bores, with spiral grooves indicating feed rates that exceed modern capabilities. Engineer Christopher Dunn examined these samples in 1984. What he found challenged everything he knew about machining. The grooves inside the drill cores are evenly spaced. They spiral down the core at a consistent pitch. This indicates the drill bit advanced into the stone at a specific rate per revolution. The rate measured from these cores is 0.1 inch per revolution. That's the feed rate, how far the drill penetrates with each rotation. Modern diamond-tipped drills cutting granite use feed rates of 0.0002 inches per revolution. That's 500 times slower than the ancient Egyptian rate. These cores show the ancient drill was cutting 500 times faster than our best current technology. That's impossible with primitive tools. Copper can't do it. Bronze can't do it. Even steel struggles with such feed rates. You need industrial diamond bits spinning at precise RPMs with constant coolant flow. But there's more. The drill holes show no wobble, perfectly cylindrical from top to bottom. This requires rigid mounting, heavy machinery, computer-controlled feed mechanisms, or technology we don't understand. The holes also show taper. They're slightly wider at the top than the bottom. This is exactly what happens with modern core drilling when the bit wears. It suggests extensive drilling that wore down the tool, but wore it down while maintaining incredible feed rates. Petrie examined these cores in 1883. His analysis revealed grooves cut deeper through quartz than through feldspar. That's backwards. Quartz is harder than feldspar. Modern bits cut through feldspar faster. Yet these ancient drills cut quartz more aggressively. This suggests the drilling process involved something other than mechanical cutting. Perhaps ultrasonic vibration. Perhaps high-pressure water jets with abrasive compounds. Perhaps technology we haven't discovered yet. The official explanation? Copper tubes with sand as an abrasive, rotated by hand or with bow drills. Dunn tested this method. He used copper tubes, sand abrasive, and human power. After hours of effort, he achieved minimal penetration. No spiral grooves formed. No consistent feed rate. The copper deformed immediately. The sand scattered uselessly. The physics don't support the official explanation. Copper is softer than the minerals it supposedly cut. Sand abrasion can work, but it's random. It can't create precise spiral grooves. It can't maintain consistent feed rates. It can't drill faster than diamond-tipped industrial tools. Yet hundreds of drill cores exist, stored in museum basements, each one demonstrating capabilities that shouldn't exist, each one drilled with precision that modern technology struggles to match. The cores sit there, physical evidence of lost technology, proof that someone possessed drilling capabilities beyond our current understanding, capabilities that appear fully developed, produce impossible results, then vanish completely from history. Number 9. The impossible transport of the Moai. Easter Island sits in the Pacific Ocean, over 2,000 miles from the nearest continent, one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth. On this remote island stand nearly 900 massive stone statues, the Moai. Each statue weighs an average of 14 tons. The largest weighs 82 tons. They were carved from volcanic tuff at a quarry called Rano Raraku, then transported across the island. Some moved over 14 miles, then erected on ceremonial platforms. The traditional inhabitants are Polynesian. They arrived around 800 AD with wooden canoes, no wheels, no metal tools, no draft animals, no machinery. Yet they moved 900 massive statues across rough terrain, positioned them precisely, erected them on platforms, added massive top knots weighing additional tons. How? The oral tradition says the statues walked under the power of mana, spiritual energy given by the gods. Modern archaeology dismisses this as mythology, but nobody has successfully demonstrated how the statues were actually moved. In 1955, Norwegian explorer Thor Heyerdahl organized experiments. He hired islanders to move a statue using traditional methods, wooden sledges, rope harnesses, teams of men pulling. They moved the statue, but only on flat ground. Any incline required exponentially more force. The ropes broke repeatedly. The sledge damaged the statue. The effort exhausted the work crew after moving the statue just a few meters. The experiment proved you could move a statue, but it didn't prove you could move 900 statues over 14 miles across volcanic rock terrain with elevation changes. Later experiments tried other methods: rolling on logs, rocking side to side, tipping forward in a walking motion. Each method worked briefly on flat demonstration courses. None succeeded at the actual distances and terrain conditions. But here's what's stranger. The statues at the quarry tell a different story. 397 statues remain at Rano Raraku, in various stages of completion, some partially carved, some complete but still attached to bedrock, some lying on slopes, others standing in positions that don't make sense, and some are impossible, too large to move, too heavy for any known method, carved anyway. One statue, if completed, would have weighed over 200 tons. It's still attached to the quarry wall, 70 feet long, carved but never released. Why begin carving something you can't move? Unless the builders had capabilities we don't understand. Engineer Jean-Pierre Adam analyzed the transport problem in 1990. His calculations showed that moving the largest statues requires force equivalent to modern industrial equipment. Cranes, trucks, hydraulics. The islanders supposedly used stone tools and rope. The platforms where statues stand are themselves remarkable. Massive stone foundations, precisely fitted blocks. Some platforms contained stones weighing over 10 tons. These had to be quarried, transported, and positioned before the statues arrived. The statues also show tooling marks that don't match stone implements. Smooth curves, requiring sustained abrasion. Sharp detail work, requiring precision tools. Standardized features, suggesting templates or measuring devices. And they were carved at incredible speed. Estimates suggest 900 statues were completed over 400 years. That's more than 2 statues per year, continuously, for centuries, using stone tools and manpower. The mathematics don't support this production rate. Not with primitive technology, not without understanding industrial processes, not without capabilities far beyond what mainstream archaeology attributes to the islanders. The statues stand as evidence. 900 of them. Each one moved from the quarry. Each one positioned precisely. Each one demanding explanations that official theories can't provide. Someone on the most isolated inhabited island on Earth possessed technology capable of moving massive weights across difficult terrain. Technology that left no trace except the impossible monuments it created. Number 10. The vitrified forts of Scotland. Across Scotland, there are ruins of ancient hill forts. Over 60 sites have been identified. These aren't typical stone fortifications. These are vitrified. The stones have been melted, fused together into solid, glassy masses. Vitrification happens when stone is heated to extreme temperatures. Above 1,000 degrees Celsius, above 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. At these temperatures, stone melts. When it cools, it forms a glassy structure. The stones literally fuse into single masses. The Scottish forts show this vitrification across massive areas. Entire wall sections melted together, stones fused into singular structures. The heat was so intense that it penetrated deep into the stonework. The official explanation? The builders intentionally set fires to strengthen the walls. The heat from burning timber fused the stones together, creating stronger fortifications. But there are massive problems with this explanation. First, timber fires don't reach temperatures high enough to vitrify stone. Wood burns at approximately 600 degrees Celsius. Stone requires over 1,000 degrees to melt. You'd need sustained temperatures far beyond what wood fires produce. Second, experiments attempting to recreate vitrification have failed. In 1934, archaeologist V. Gordon Childe built a test wall. He used the same stone types. He constructed it using ancient methods. He filled it with timber and set it ablaze. The wall didn't vitrify. It cracked. The stones fractured from uneven heating. Some outer surfaces showed slight glazing, but nothing like the complete melting seen at the Scottish forts. Third, the vitrification isn't uniform. Some sections show complete melting. Other sections are untouched. This pattern doesn't match fire damage. Fire spreads. It heats areas relatively evenly. The selective vitrification suggests directed energy, focused heat, not random burning. Fourth, the amount of timber required is prohibitive. Calculations show you'd need timber volumes equal to the volume of stone being vitrified. That's entire forests. Harvested, transported uphill, and piled into structures, then burned all at once. The logistics are impossible. The vitrification shows another strange characteristic. The stones melted from the inside out. The cores show more melting than the surfaces. This is backwards from fire damage. Fires heat from outside. The surface should show more damage than the interior. But these forts show internal melting, as if the heat came from within the stones themselves, as if the energy was somehow induced into the material. Physicist James Robert examined several sites in 2008. His analysis suggested electromagnetic heating, similar to microwave technology, energy that penetrates materials and heats them from within. But electromagnetic heating requires technology we supposedly didn't develop until the 20th century. Equipment that generates specific frequencies, power sources producing massive energy, control systems managing heat distribution. The ancient builders supposedly had none of this. Yet over 60 sites across Scotland show evidence of extreme heating, controlled vitrification, selective melting, patterns that don't match any natural or primitive process. Some researchers proposed military applications, ancient weapons that generated extreme heat, directed energy capable of melting stone fortifications, technology that explains the vitrification patterns. But if ancient peoples had energy weapons, where's the rest of the technology? Where are the power sources, the control systems, the manufacturing infrastructure? As with other lost technologies, it appears fully formed, produces impossible results, then vanishes completely. The vitrified forts remain, solid evidence of extreme heating, melted stone that shouldn't exist, fusion patterns that defy explanation, each site demonstrating capabilities beyond primitive methods. Someone in ancient Scotland had technology capable of melting stone, technology that generated temperatures exceeding modern industrial furnaces, technology that left no trace except the glassy ruins it created. 10 structures, 10 instances where the official explanations crumble under scrutiny. The Great Pyramid's precision exceeds modern construction tolerances. Baalbek's 800-ton blocks rest 20 feet above ground. The Serapeum's granite boxes display machining accuracy. Ollantaytambo's stones crossed rivers and mountains. Yonaguni's underwater terraces predate accepted civilization. Göbekli Tepe's acoustic engineering appears 6,000 years before architecture. The pyramid's blocks may have been poured using advanced chemistry. Egyptian drill cores show impossible feed rates. Easter Island's 900 statues moved across volcanic terrain. Scotland's forts were vitrified by heat sources that shouldn't exist. The pattern is undeniable. Advanced capabilities appearing in ancient times, creating structures modern technology struggles to explain, then vanishing completely from history. These aren't isolated anomalies. They're systematic evidence that challenges accepted timelines. That suggests knowledge was lost. That demonstrates capabilities we're told didn't exist. That proves technology can be erased from history. The structures stand as proof. They can be measured, their precision documented, their construction analyzed. The evidence isn't speculation. It's physical reality. But that evidence is rarely discussed in mainstream archaeology. Research challenging conventional timelines faces resistance. Funding disappears. Publishing becomes difficult. The narrative must be maintained. Why? Because these structures ask uncomfortable questions. If ancient peoples possessed this technology, where did it come from? If it existed, why did it disappear? If it was lost, what else has been forgotten? The official timeline presents human development as steady progression. Simple tools to complex machines, primitive methods to advanced engineering. But these structures suggest a different pattern. Advanced capabilities existing early, then lost, then slowly rediscovered. That pattern challenges fundamental assumptions. It suggests knowledge can be lost, that civilizations can fall, that technology isn't permanent, that progress isn't guaranteed. The evidence has been presented, the measurements documented, the engineering analyzed, the patterns revealed. These structures exist. Their precision is real. Their construction methods remain unexplained. The technology that built them has vanished from history. But the monuments remain. Stone testimony to capabilities we can barely match today. Evidence carved into granite. Proof built from millions of tons of precisely placed rock. The question isn't whether these structures are impossible. They exist. Therefore, they're possible. The question is how they were actually built, and why we've been told it was done with primitive tools and simple methods, when the evidence clearly demonstrates otherwise. The truth is in the measurements. The precision speaks for itself. The engineering reveals capabilities beyond official explanations. 10 megastructures, 10 pieces of evidence, 10 reasons to question everything we've been taught about ancient technology. The monuments stand, waiting for honest investigation, demanding better explanations, proving that sometimes the most important discoveries are the ones that challenge what we think we already know.